The woman walked out of the kitchen, arms spread wide, and pressed a blade against my throat. Her face was all warmth and smiles. My newly awakened hatred system, however, told a different story. Extreme hatred detected. Energy plus 103, plus 107. Wait, the woman I thought loved me hates me this much? Sure, my father killed her husband. Sure, the demon clan invaded her Schwar empire. And yes, she only raised me, a demon orphan, for 1 billion years. Okay, fine. She hadn't killed me yet. That counted as mercy. I scrambled to apologize. Sorry, my bad. I stammered and bolted back to my room. That knife had looked very real. Behind me, the level 4 dancer finally dropped the act and vented on the cutting board instead. Meanwhile, I was staring at my hatred system panel, absolutely thriving. Accumulated energy, 1,315. Upgrade physical fortitude. Level up, level up, level up. Insufficient energy. Need 1,000 points to reach level 23. Where am I supposed to get that much energy? Go poke stepmom again? Too risky. Might actually die. Better option. Go annoy the daughter. She was in the middle of pulling off her socks when I kicked the door open. Hey sis. Big brother wants to have a little chat about life. You pervert. Look, you're flat as a board. Nothing to get worked up over. I've got pecs. Mine might actually be bigger than yours. Drop dead. She threw a full power punch. I just stood there and took it. Rage energy plus 3, plus 2, plus 1. I blinked. That's it. All that thunder and no rain. You're nothing like your mom. I kept poking. Too light. You skip meals or something? Oh, by the way, I was listening outside your door on purpose while you changed. Her eyes lit up like twin furnaces. She came at me again. Rage energy plus 4, plus 3, plus 2. Being flat-chested isn't the end of the world. You've still got decades ahead of you. Plenty of time. Get out. A kick launched me clean through the air. I crashed down hard. Rage energy plus 50. Not a bad haul. Then the door swung open. A voice that made my blood run cold said, Chin Yu, what are you doing in my daughter's room at this hour? Extreme hatred detected. Energy plus 114. I apologized my way back to my room at record speed. 3 in the morning. A sharp blade plunged down toward me. It scraped off harmlessly. Ha! My body had toughened up. I had my stepmom's hatred energy to thank for that. My dancer rank had just hit level 1. Level 1. But at least I was getting stronger. The next day, I arrived at school, and the system immediately started pinging. Hundreds of hostility and cold shoulder readings, all feeding into my energy pool. I looked around at my classmates and nearly laughed out loud. So many people hating me. This was going to be glorious. I flipped the whole classroom, a very international gesture. Attention, everyone. I hereby declare you're all idiots. Ridicule and resentment energy plus 11, plus 15. The energy came flooding in. Incredible. After spending years building friendships, the ancients clearly had the wrong idea. The real move was enemies. I sauntered away, riding the high, until a woman with a tail called out behind me. Chin Yu, you actually came to school. I heard you weren't feeling well. It was my homeroom teacher, the one I'd always respected. Hostility detected. Energy plus. Wait, she was faking it too? No, on second thought, that reading was probably just ugly male jealousy from the guys nearby. Either way, I had a plan. I let my eyes roll back and went limp, collapsing straight into the teacher's arms. Come on. I'm taking you to the nurse's office. In my half-conscious haze, I was dimly aware of being carried somewhere warm. Then, for reasons I couldn't explain, I suddenly opened my eyes and stared up at the teacher. Because I'm lovesick. The system exploded with notifications. Hostility energy surge detected. I grinned. What a harvest. Thank you all for the generous donations. The classroom erupted. That's not lovesick, that's a psychiatric case. By the time school let out, several very angry classmates had been waiting patiently. A burlap sack dropped over my head. Fists started flying. 5, 6 of them at once, and I didn't hold a grudge for a single second. In fact, I gently pressed my knee against someone's face in what I'd call a courtesy massage. Then I heard my stepsister's voice shouting nearby. Nobody touches him except me. She charged in, and I punched her square in the face before realizing who it was. Face, meet pavement. I kept going. Left hook, right kick. Before long, everyone was laid out on the ground, thoroughly relaxed. That's when I spotted my stepsister struggling to get up in the distance. Oh no, did I just? Can't let stepmom find out about this. I sprinted over. Hey Yuli, who did this to you? Tell me and I'll avenge you right now. She was foaming at the mouth, too done to respond. Hostility plus 5. Even half dead, she still hated me. That was genuine. I sighed and carried her home on my back. Stepmom asked what happened. Yuli covered for me. I was helping a shark cross the street and got hit by a wave of seaweed. Having a sister this loyal, what more could a guy ask for? From that moment on, anyone who laid a hand on her was going to answer to me, which made it all the more shocking when the very next afternoon, she was beaten into critical condition. That morning, she had walked out the door in full battle armor. I stared. You going to blow up the school? Idiot. You're probably the only one who doesn't know yet. By tonight, you'll see. I've joined the Wild Horse Night Order. What does that even mean? When I got to school, I understood immediately. The place was deserted. One banner stretched across the entrance. Northern District High School League. So all those people I'd been wall-slamming teachers and calling idiots in front of, they just left me out of it. I raced to the arena just in time to catch the class finals. Yuli versus Bai Xiaoyi of the White Dog Clan. Yuli swung her blade. Bai Xiaoyi barely blocked it and flew back 10 meters. She scrambled to activate her mana armor, but Yuli landed a wild horse kick square in the chest. Bai Xiaoyi dropped to the ground, crying. You lose. Yuli drove her blade into the platform. The referee was about to declare a winner, when Bai Xiaoyi sucker punched her from behind. I win. Snickering, she brushed herself off. I just sprinted in. 1 second I heard the crowd chanting, the next my sister was airborne. I bolted forward, but she hit the ground hard. Critical injury. Unconscious, and on the stage that shameless dog was taunting her. That's the Wild Horse Centurion's girl? Really? That's all she's got. Something inside me went cold with fury. There would be consequences. After the match, our beautiful homeroom teacher came to the house to apologize. I wanted to void Bai Xiaoyi's eligibility, but the school won't allow it. I'm truly sorry. Auntie Yuna leaned back with a cigarette and said nothing for a long moment. The Wild Horse Knights, that name stood for glory. 10 years ago, it disappeared. Don't blame yourself over my daughter. But Teacher Zhao knew, the school bore responsibility. 10 years ago, without them, there'd be no peace today. Now only Yuli still remembered. She lost in the end, though. Thank you, Teacher Zhao. I caught up with the teacher as she was leaving. Teacher, let me walk you out. At the gate, I asked the question that had been circling my head. Is Bai Xiaoyi the only one who can represent our class? Under tournament rules, yes, unless someone defeats her. Why are you asking? I thought of what they'd done to my sister. Just feeling like I should strengthen my relationship with Little White. The teacher looked extremely confused. The next morning, Bai Xiaoyi was laughing loudly at the whispers around her, drooling over her own daydreams. I kicked her door open. Is the heir to the defeated dog trading house present? She hadn't even processed what I'd said before she exploded. Who did you just call a defeated dog? Whoever answers first. I'm just here to deliver a formal challenge. She sneered. You're barely a footnote. What makes you think? I reached out and patted her on the head. You really are a good dog. The teacher came rushing after me. She was worried I was too weak and would get killed in the ring. What she didn't know was that with the hatred system, my whole strategy was built on an indestructible body. By the time she arrived, I was already standing on the platform. She could only pray I didn't get destroyed. Bai Xiaoyi mocked my bare chest with no battle armor. I didn't care. You really think you need that? From the moment you challenged me, you were already dead. Come and meet your end. I stood there calmly. One punch shattered her weapon. She scrambled to retreat, but I was already on top of her. One hit, she coughed blood and went flying. The crowd suddenly realized something was wrong. I was too strong. The teacher realized this wasn't over. I drew back both fists and unleashed a rapid combo, and in seconds, Bai Xiaoyi was down to her last breath. The teacher stuttered. Stop. If you keep going, she'll die. Yuna and Yuli will both face court-martial. She rushed forward and grabbed my shoulder. On instinct, I spun around and seized her wrist, nearly threw a punch before catching myself. I looked back at Bai Xiaoyi's wrecked state. Fine. We'll stop here. Thank you, Qinyu. The teacher got Bai Xiaoyi carried to the nurse's office. In the principal's office, the principal asked Teacher Zhao how she saw the incident. Bai Xiaoyi broke the rules first with that sucker punch. Qinyu had cause. True, but there are external opinions to consider. The teacher raised her hand. I recommend letting Qinyu represent the school in the tournament. Then the principal noticed something. Red finger marks on the teacher's wrist. Who injured a peak season 4 dancer? Teacher Zhao thought back to how Qinyu had grabbed her wrist, without even a defensive stance. An ordinary dancer couldn't breach her guard barehanded. The 3 principals exchanged looks. Send her to the tournament. We'll handle the incident with Bai Xiaoyi. The teacher waved it off. I already told Qinyu to head home. The rest is yours to deal with. The 3 principals frowned simultaneously. 2 hours later, both families met face to face. When Bai Xiaoyi walked in, wrapped head to toe like a mummy, Yuli was barely holding it together. She lasted about 30 seconds before she burst out laughing. Qinyu did all of this? The old white patriarch asked flatly. We can offer generous compensation, but hand Qinyu over. Auntie Yuna refused without blinking. I still have a use for her. The 2 locked eyes in a silent contest of wills. Our guild has deep pockets. We can find a way to have her quietly removed. Yuli couldn't take it anymore. She was about to act when Auntie Yuna pulled her back. White Guild leader, are you threatening the family of a Night Order member? That made all 3 principals freeze. Old White backpedaled fast. Chinyu is just a demon. Putting that hat on her head was a dangerous move. The Night Order didn't let insults slide. The Wild Bee Night Order in particular had a very long memory for slights. Since the guild leader has no further objections, we'll take our leave. Old White rushed to clarify. Chinyu is a demon. Sooner or later she'll go berserk and kill you. Auntie Yuna stopped walking. I made a bet with someone once. A bet on whether she would go berserk. You assume I'm betting she won't. Is that right? She smiled, slow and sharp. Actually, I'm waiting for her to go berserk, and then settling all the accounts. Far away on a bus, Chinyu sneezed loudly. She wondered who was thinking about her. Then got bored and let her eyes drift to the girl sitting beside her. The girl was sweating bullets, stammering that Chinyu was a demon. Well, at least someone has taste. Time to have a little fun. I am indeed a demon in disguise, sent to exterminate the rising talents of your generation. The Demon Legion shall prevail. Mwahaha. The girl burst into tears instantly. Stop the bus. There's a demon on board. The bus lurched wildly from side to side in slow motion. Chinyu sat back, collecting the hatred energy pouring in. Energy plus 999. This was the good life. When they neared the destination, she nearly choked. Tens of thousands of people. No end in sight. She casually slung her knapsack over her shoulder and strolled into the crowd. Suddenly a massive spike. Extreme hatred detected. Energy plus 1441. That signature. Familiar. Definitely Auntie Yuna and Yuli. They must have sent something as a goodwill gesture after the Bai Shaoi incident. Chinyu politely replied with a middle finger. But seeing that her sister could even still get angry, the body was recovering nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, the high school league officially begins. The announcer invited the leaders of all 24 Night Orders to take the stage. The crowd erupted. For glory, for justice, we stand united. The cheering intensified. Chinyu was unmoved. Now, introducing the competing students. Wait, she could harvest energy from this crowd right now? The host explained that each student had 5 seconds to introduce themselves. Standard stuff. Salutes, noble speeches, rehearsed poise. Her turn came up fast. She cracked her knuckles. Your boy has arrived. She walked out radiating raw confidence, threw up a middle finger, and dropped a single word. The crowd went silent. Yuli buried her face in her hands. The teachers nearby speculated she might be under pressure. The host, to his credit, recovered immediately and announced the tournament rules. Participants will travel to Gorilla Island for a 7-day elimination round. You may bring 3 days' worth of food. The rest, figure it out. The island contains demons from the Demon Gate and killing machines from the Tech Gate. Each carries a special energy orb. The top 100 energy scores advance to the arena stage. You will each receive a tech ball that monitors your vitals. If your condition deteriorates past a threshold, you'll be automatically extracted. The massive figure known as Bear Senior stepped behind the host. I'll personally send you to the island. His blood energy surged. He executed an advanced dancer technique, space-time submission. A wave of spatial distortion rolled through the crowd, and then everyone was gone, reappearing aboard a transport aircraft bound for the island. Chinyu watched, deeply impressed. That's what a real technique looks like. Then she punched straight through the transport hull, sending dozens of participants parachute-less into freefall. Instant eliminations. The audience watching remotely was furious. Is this even human? Yuli, watching from the stands, beamed with pride. That's my brother. Absolutely infuriating. Absolutely glorious. And that spirit carried into the competition. Chinyu spent the next several days operating entirely at maximum recklessness. She stole cubs from a mama bear. She fried eggs right in front of an eagle's nest. She spotted what she thought was a puppy on the side of the road and tried to saddle it for a 5-kilometer joyride. The puppy screamed. Chinyu looked closer. It was a Schwar girl. The scream set off a chain reaction. 3 of 5 sisters burst out of the nearby undergrowth. Something's caught? What we got? Then they saw their little sister pinned face first to the ground by a grinning male figure. Wah, sister, help. There's a creep. The 3 older sisters hit maximum fury instantly. Chinyu started waving her hands. This is all a misunderstanding. Cut to Chinyu being dragged away by the ear, her victim still sniffling. The 3 sisters' moods had improved considerably, mostly because they'd already beaten Chinyu half senseless. But somehow, she'd used a nearby crocodile as a human shield. The crocodile died. Chinyu barely had a scratch, and she immediately went on offense. You killed my best friend. Now what are we going to do about that? Second sister moved to protect the others. You psycho, what do you want? Nothing complicated. Just want to know, which one of you can cook? My buddy wouldn't want me going hungry on his behalf. That landed. The hostility evaporated almost instantly. You want to eat our cooking? Within seconds, the youngest sister had a knife in her hand, cutting meat with alarming precision. One was seasoning. One was gathering firewood. Second sister appeared in a full chef's uniform, firing up aromatic spices over a high flame. For a moment, Chinyu thought she was about to eat well. Then she caught sight of the crocodile's dead eyes, and the ring of green glowing ghost foxes circling the pot. A cold sweat broke across her forehead. Right process. Very wrong result. The crocodile's resentment actually feels stronger dead than when it was alive. Hey, why aren't you eating? All four sisters closed in, using their collective stares to push the dark cuisine toward her. Is this even edible? How about one of you tries it first? Instant panic. No, 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 you eat it, we're not hungry. Too late for that. Eat it. Just then, a bright red battle knife sliced through the air from the side, toppled the pot clean. The eldest sister landed with a second blade raised. Let my sisters go, demon. Chinyu not only didn't release the youngest, she pulled her around as a human shield. Big sis, don't cut me. The eldest adjusted her angle. The blade passed so close it trimmed the little one's tail. Chinyu didn't even flinch. She just roared back at full volume. Enemies make better energy than food anyway. She tossed the youngest aside and kept provoking. Those ears of yours. Your family's the Dachshund branch, right? That was the last straw. The eldest slammed her twin blades together and charged. She turned to the other four. Now, Chinyu blinked. You're ganging up? How shameless. Guess I'd better match that energy. She reached back and yanked Hammer Yang Lei from its sheath, swinging it like a club. Come on, let's all hurt each other. Even at level 3 warrior, the eldest Quan Xiaoxiao couldn't hold ground against Chinyu's freak strength. The image of Chinyu single-arm spinning Hammer Yang Lei overhead sent the crowd wild. That demon's strength is absolutely broken. She should be disqualified. This is insane. The crowd roared in outrage. But Chinyu's stepmom and stepsister were quietly thrilled. Auntie Yuna started thinking, that level of power, and she'd been letting her daughter beat on her this whole time? Either she was incredibly restrained or she genuinely had some kind of conscience. Could a demon actually be like that? The answer, objectively, was no. Chinyu was chaotic evil through and through, but even after beating Quan Xiaoxiao, she couldn't let the dark cuisine matter drop. My sister worked hard on this. Plus, you're a demon, your digestion is stronger. This won't hurt you. Maybe it's like stinky tofu. Smells terrible, tastes great. Then you eat one first. Quan Xiaoxiao knew her sisters cooking well enough to know the answer to that was a hard no. She tried to change the subject, suggesting they team up to find real food. Instead, Chinyu insisted they all sit down and take responsibility. In the end, it was the youngest sister, Quan Kiki, with the sharpest nose in the group, who sniffed out salvation. A cluster of people not far away with an active grill. The group there wasn't worried when their skewers got stolen. They actually called out for the group to come closer. Plenty for everyone. We're staff. They barely finished the sentence before Quan Xiaoxiao and Chinyu had already taken them down. After a full meal, they discovered these people were actually the event's supply distribution crew. Both Chinyu and Quan Xiaoxiao turned their heads slowly. More participants were already approaching, coming to select from the supplies. Quan Xiaoxiao started loading food to take away. Chinyu's smile went sharp. She had a much better idea. Why run when you could profit? She put on a borrowed staff uniform and stepped forward as participants approached. Welcome. We have 4 package options. A, B, C, and D. Which would you prefer? The starving participants practically salivated. We want the deluxe barbecue and beer package. No problem. For energy orbs, please. The crowd was confused. Wait, aren't these supposed to be free? Chinyu didn't miss a beat. Of course not. Why do you think we have 4 tiers? Package A, just mineral water and energy bars, that's the free tier. The premium packages are earned. That's steep. Maybe we'll pass. The sisters watched from the side, genuinely unsure whether this would actually work. Chinyu was 100% confident. Seeing a few participants reaching for the free supplies without buying, she let out a theatrical sigh. I can't believe you found the hidden supply test so fast. What a shame. That caught everyone's attention immediately. She was in a staff uniform. Staff wouldn't lie. They exchanged glances. We want to buy. Please, tell us the secret. Chinyu put on a pained expression. Fine, fine. Participants who purchase premium packages receive hidden bonus rewards after the competition. The points you spend are doubled and returned. The more you buy, the more you get back. The sisters watched Chinyu perform her masterclass. One of the participants leaned forward. Is that true? Chinyu didn't confirm directly. She just pointed toward the new wave of participants approaching. I only tell this to certain people. I think you understand. We do. Here for energy orbs. Thanks for the tip. Unfortunately, Chinyu's scheme was undone when the bound and gagged staff members managed to roll their way into plain sight and expose everything. Caught, Chinyu bolted, dragging the 5 sisters with her. On the run, they hit a roadblock. 3 beast women standing in their path. Quan Xiaoxiao read the formation instantly. The snake woman was agile and slippery. The rhino was built for direct confrontation. And the one in the back, hood pulled low, was the unknown variable. Unknown was the most dangerous. Before she could assess further, The snake woman slinked forward with a languid smile. Hey big guy. I have a taste for your type. How about you and me slip away somewhere quieter? She licked the shaft of her spear with a split tongue. Chinyu went beet red. Sister, I'm still young. The 5 sisters collectively combusted. The snake woman laughed and then lunged, spear driving toward Chinyu. Chinyu dropped the act. She caught the attack with ease, and smiled like the devil himself had shown up. Let's start with a small goal. Say, making you cry. She yanked the snake woman forward by her weapon, then landed the single most devastating thing you could say to a woman. Ma'am, you look exhausted. The snake woman broke instantly. She whipped her tail and launched Chinyu skyward. She planned to use her naturally flexible serpentine body to neutralize Chinyu's punches, but Chinyu's response was to uproot a 15-meter tree with one hand and hurl it like a javelin. Idiot. You think wild swings like that can touch me? The snake woman spotted an opening and drove her spear between Chinyu's legs. A crack. The spearhead broke apart. How is that possible? The snake woman froze. Chinyu grabbed her by the throat. You thought that was a weak point? For a demon, that's a feature. She grinned like a villain. When the others saw the snake woman again, she was drooling, barely conscious, and being tossed back into the group. The hooded beast woman finally put away her contempt and spoke with total seriousness. I don't kill unknowns. Give me a name. Call me Chinyu. Before the words even finished, she was already standing directly in front of Chinyu. My name is Tang Lian. Prepare to die. Chinyu wasn't rattled. She was a walking fortress. A fragile little assassin like this was no real threat. But Tang Lian surprised her, kicking free of the grab with both legs. Then 2 pale green translucent wings spread from her back, stabilizing her in midair. A heartbeat later, she was behind Chinyu, a razor edge pressed against her throat. Is this all you've got? Tang Lian reappeared meters away in an instant. That exchange made things clear. Her greatest strength was speed. Her greatest weakness, arrogance. If that last blade had actually come down, it would have been a killing blow. Chinyu decided on the taunt approach. Stand there and take the hits while talking trash. That all you've got? I barely felt that. You call yourself a warrior? You've been scratching my back for 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 stars for the massage. Tang Lian didn't respond. She just accelerated, landing wound after wound. Yu Li, watching from the stands, was dying inside. Doesn't she know that's the green-backed mantis assassin class? A raised killer from birth. Taunting doesn't work on her. Chinyu knew, but speed costs stamina. Sooner or later there'd be an opening. 1 clean hit would be enough. When she finally launched Tang Lian clear of the ground and followed up with a killing elbow strike, the rhino girl, Xiaya, launched herself in between them. You hurt my sister. You pay for that, dog. She expected to find a worthy opponent in a strength contest, so she didn't dodge. She threw her first punch. Chinyu just stood there and let it land, then smiled. Hit me harder. I thought you were supposed to be strong. Xiaya screamed in disbelief and unleashed everything she had. But the gap was too wide. Every blow landed clean, and did absolutely nothing. Chinyu effortlessly caught each fist, and somehow managed to make a solid iron woman crumple in tears. While she was still processing that, a spear flew in from the side. The 3 beast women took the opening to run. The 5 sisters swarmed Chinyu from behind. We'll follow your lead from here on. Works for me. Let's head for the map center. At the center, dozens of participants were already dogpiling a Tier 2 evil beast, the big-mouth pig. Chinyu held the sisters back. Too many people in insect territory. Something bigger is coming. Sure enough, the Tier 5 evil beast, the insect queen, made her entrance. Enormous. Terrifyingly powerful. Dozens of participants couldn't put a dent in her. Chinyu didn't rush. Playing the long game was always best. Let others drain her down first. All Chinyu needed was to find one weakness. She watched patiently until the queen turned to engage someone else, then aimed for the glowing crystal on her pristine back. 1 punch. Full force. The hit ripped clean through. Critical wound. But Chinyu held her pose a second too long, still looking cool, when Quan Xiaoxiao's scream hit her. Run. She's still alive. Chinyu looked up just in time, and was swallowed whole by the insect queen. Was this the end? Not even close. She was still fighting from the inside. 1 explosive punch. She blew through the queen's body and burst free. The battle armor had been dissolved by stomach acid, but the body underneath held. Solo boss kill. Heroic. For exactly 3 seconds, then her legs gave out and she collapsed straight into Quan Xiaoxiao's chest. She woke up in a hospital bed with a very gentle nurse smiling down at her. She immediately opened her system panel. New ability unlocked. Demon armor. She pulled it up, The armor was sized for exactly one finger. Qingyu stared at it. One finger. Where's the epic power I was promised? This covers one finger. What am I supposed to do? Gesture people to death, but she quickly realized she could channel energy points to expand it. With enough power, she could cover an entire arm. Now that was more like it. She threw a casual test punch, and the beautiful nurse walking in yelped and pressed her skirt down hard. Both Qingyu and the doctor seemed satisfied with the result. Then the doctor cleared his throat. Good news, young one. Your recovery is coming along. Bad news, full body fractures. You'll be discharged in about a month. Qingyu shot up. The one-on-one tournament is the day after tomorrow. I can't wait a month. She looked at the nurse carefully wrapping her bandages, and got an idea. The plan involved the nurse, the whole floor of nurses, and then, for the sake of thoroughness, the male patients as well. Let the record show Qingyu was not a pervert, because she equally harassed the male patients who had been enjoying the view. The truth was simple. She needed 5,000 energy points to unlock blood regeneration. She silently apologized to the nursing staff, then launched the most chaotic hospital run in recorded history. All in the name of leveling up. Every nurse on the floor sent her a look that could kill. Qingyu wasn't the least bit scared. She was energized. Energy this way was fast. Cut to Qingyu in a hospital gown, arriving at the tournament arena. Yuli nearly had a heart attack. Is she suicidal? Still visibly injured, and she shows up to compete. Her opponent was equally stunned. Am I seriously about to fight a patient in bandages? Word was this Qingyu was uniquely shameless. Was she planning to fall down and fake a foul? Then Qingyu hummed a casual tune and skipped up to the stage. Rare sight, a 90-degree bow at the waist. The opponent, caught off guard by the sudden politeness, bent back in a respectful return bow. Qingyu's eyes flashed red. 1 second later, she had grabbed his head and planted it in the floor. The audience went blank. Nearby mother and daughter pretended they didn't know her. Riding a streak of completely dishonorable micro-combos, Qingyu punched and stumbled her way into the final. Her opponent, Tang Lian. Again, for revenge, Tang Lian had brought out her prized greenback mantis battlesuit. Qingyu showed up in a hospital gown with no armor. Tang Lian didn't want to win by unfair advantage, so she reached behind her back to remove the battlesuit, then remembered there was just an undergarment beneath it. For the sake of audience decorum, she kept it on. Don't make me wait. The crowd and I are all watching. Unless you're embarrassed, I can undress first to break the ice. Qingyu already knew speed was Tang Lian's edge, so she opened with trash talk to bait the first move. It worked. Twin blades drawn, Tang Lian became a bolt of lightning. If last time Qingyu could still claim it was a gentle scratch, this time she had no such option. She could only use her demon armor-reinforced arm to defend as much as possible. To win, she needed the riskiest play available. She let Tang Lian drive both blades directly into her, and clamped them there with her body. Trapped. One punch. Match over. Tang Lian went down hard, beaten unconscious. Qingyu spat blood and pulled the two blades free. She's absurdly strong. Lucky I had the system boost. Otherwise she would have scratched me to death eventually. Qingyu turned to face the crowd's applause, and found Quan Xiaoxiao falling into her arms. Bleeding from multiple wounds. She collapsed. Xiaoxiao, what happened to you? Watch out, she managed. Spatial technique. Before Qingyu could process it, Quan Xiaoxiao's opponent Wang Xia had already blinked to her position, and he was a demon too. A spark of something crossed his eyes. Relax, she'll be fine. Next time we meet, let's really play. Qingyu's expression darkened. Dangerous. She needed to prepare. Her preparation involved strapping bottles and packets of spices all over her body. The audience lost it. Is she seasoning herself? Even her opponent thought she was planning to stew herself. Mind your own business, Qingyu muttered. The match started. Horned Demon Clan, all talk. What do you mean Horned Demon? I don't even know what that is. At that moment, Wang Zhe vanished, and reappeared behind her. His punch bounced off her demon armor. Your ability is impressive, but that's all it is. He wanted to go head-to-head, but his sword retracted and reappeared at her back, launching her several meters. He sheathed it. It's over. You've lost. Don't count your wins too early. Look up. A rain of spice packets was arcing down from above. Wang Zhe got chili oil in both eyes. I was willing to let a fellow demon go, but you want death, then fine. He flickered away into the smoke, and in the chaos, his blade sliced toward her. She told me how you hide, Qingyu said quietly. Wang Zhe's body began to swell. A massive shadow fell across her. You'll pay for what you've done. Qingyu punched straight into it. We're the same species and you're out here acting like a boss fight? Wang Zhe dissolved into darkness, completely invisible. Teacher Zhao was puzzling over his ability. Auntie Yuna saw it clearly, he outclassed Qingyu. And right now, Qingyu was paying for it. Blind, she took a hard hit. Foolish horn demon. Did you think only you were royalty? The decapitation demon king dropped a blade from above. Qingyu deflected it effortlessly. Impossible. You're not even a proper demon. How is your defense this high? Because Qingyu had just maxed out her demon armor. She drove a punch into him, and he vanished back into the black mist. A monster in a trench coat, Qingyu muttered. Broken class. Wang Zhe materialized directly behind her. The winner is still me, you hornless demon. Qingyu had been waiting for exactly this. When Quan Xiaoxiao and Yuli spotted the arena, they found Qingyu standing over a demon whose horns had been cleanly removed. Qingyu had won, and her opponent was a demon. She became a legend at the high school league in a single afternoon. But as she was about to receive her award, the arena came under sudden demon invasion. Fortunately, the top-tier fighters from the Shuar Nation moved in fast enough to keep the students alive long enough to board evacuation buses. At the moment of departure, the 5 sisters came to find her. One look at Quan Xiaoxiao's flushed cheeks told Qingyu everything. She wanted to say something, but couldn't get the words out. Thank you for this whole tournament. Don't give me that. If you really want to thank me, come up with something real. Xiaoxiao's face went scarlet. Then, in one bold move, she threw her arms around Qingyu and gave her a full-on hug. By the time Qingyu processed it, all 5 sisters were already on the bus and heading home. Then an ambush hit the convoy. The formation broke up. Qingyu's vehicle came under attack too. When the driver started taking a detour, she was the first to object. She punched the driver in the chest. The driver was a demon in disguise. That's how the infiltration worked. Demons disguised as students or drivers, waiting for chaos, then steering their vehicles into the kill zones. If Qingyu hadn't caught the system alert, she'd never have guessed that one bus could hide 4 or 5 phantom demons. Her bus was the only one that routed out the spies. Every other vehicle was being funneled into a trap, and a hell dragon was already waiting. The thing was unkillable. Qingyu ran. The dragon chased, which was exactly the plan. She'd maneuvered it perfectly toward the ambush point she'd set up in advance. A giant leap, and the hell dragon collided headfirst with a parked bus. The creature crashed down, paralyzed. Qingyu promptly started ripping out its scales. The dragon howled, and eventually died of the humiliation. The soldiers nearby were white-faced. She's a child. This is terrifying. Then, through her earpiece, a message came in. Quan Xiaoxiao's bus had been hit. Qingyu dropped everything and ran. She was too late. The survivors had already been caged. Only 2 demon women remained on cleanup detail. Qingyu came sprinting in and crashed directly into the pink-haired one's arms. The pink-haired demon had been about to get angry, then looked at the face she'd collided with and smiled instead. The green-haired one was more cautious. She blocked her partner and asked for identification. Qingyu casually produced a scale dripping with blood. We're on the same side. The hell dragon personally gave me this token. The green hair was still puzzling over why the token had bloodstains, when the pink hair wrapped herself around Qingyu's arm. Qingyu leaned in immediately and started asking questions. She quickly learned that Quan Xiaoxiao and the others were being held in a cage nearby. When the 5 sisters were sitting confused in captivity, a familiar voice came from outside. Hey dumb dog, I'm here for you. Quan Xiaoxiao turned. Qingyu stood outside the cage, covered in lip prints. You didn't go in defect to the demons, did you? And then the pink-haired demon appeared behind Qingyu. So, little brother, did you find your ex-girlfriend? She's not my ex. Quan Xiaoxiao tried to argue, and had her mouth pinched shut by Qingyu. Stop pining for me. I'm not a man you can have. You little. She's too good for you, stray dog. Demon sister. Thanks for your help. Turns out you really do need allies out in the field. Even little sister 5 was yelling. You shameless pair. We're not dogs. I came all this way just to get this into your hands. From outside came a broadcast. Agent Qingyu has successfully infiltrated the compound. Earpiece has been delivered. Qingyu had found the main unit. 2 senior demons were running the briefing. Who's willing to retrieve the lung blood demon? Qingyu, committed to her cover, volunteered immediately. Good way to ensure they fail. Blade sickle demon, level 3. Fire demon, level 4. Bone demon, level 4. Fake demon, level 4. You're all brave. The coordinates won't be exact. Rely on yourselves. Find the lung blood demon and bring her back before the enemy reacts. A wave of disorientation hit them all, and they landed in the middle of Beast Clan territory, directly in front of the locals, face to face. Are you serious? While the other demons roared and charged, Qingyu was already sprinting the opposite direction, silently thanking the team for the head start. She ducked into the prison block, found her almost immediately, a demon girl in chains. The moment she saw Chinyu, she started thrashing wildly. Quiet, there are guards right outside. One firm knock to the skull, the girl went limp. Chinyu allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Then footsteps outside. No time to react, 2 armed guards entered and swept the room. Nothing unusual detected. Chinyu had been clinging to the ceiling like a spider the entire time. As her fingernails finally started to give out, the guards closed the door and left. That was close. She exhaled, then looked down and realized her landing spot wasn't exactly ideal. The girl woke up crying louder than ever, which brought the guards right back. They walked in to find Chinyu in a compromising stance over the prisoner. They moved to intervene. She flanked them, executed a grab and drop without breaking a sweat. The lung blood demon softened slightly. "You took your time," she said immediately. "I am the lung blood demon. How dare you treat me like this?" Then breath, she reconsidered. "I suppose you performed adequately. You may serve as my attendant." Chinyu grabbed her by the throat. "Let go of me. What are you doing? I heard demons can absorb each other's abilities through consumption. So if I eat you, do I become the lung blood demon?" The girl panicked and started struggling furiously. Just in time, the rest of the demon rescue team arrived. "Horn demon, what are you doing?" The bone demon's hand moved on reflex. Saving the heiress meant first place in the credit rankings. No way was the horn demon stealing that. She dares touch the young mistress. Eliminate her. But then they realized. Chinyu had only been removing the lock from her neck. She freed the prisoner gently, bowed properly, and prepared a retreat. But the Beast Clan elites arrived before they could reach the portal. The lung blood demon ended up back in Chinyu's arms in a bridal carry. She tossed the girl through the portal, then spotted the bone demon, severed from the waist down. The same bone demon who'd wanted to kill her 5 minutes ago was now begging for help. Chinyu looked at her with genuine sympathy. She caved in her skull. "You're in so much pain already. Let me end it for you." She then jumped through the portal into the demon base. The bone demon commander rushed forward. "Where is my nephew?" Chinyu didn't hesitate. "General Wu. He died heroically. Never complained once." "My nephew, a hero?" Completely false, of course. He got cut in half and was screaming for me to save him. It was pretty rough to watch. The commander went nuclear and was about to tear Chinyu apart when the lung blood demon stirred. "Am I home? Which brave hero rescued me?" She looked up, straight into Chinyu's beaming face. The girl shrieked. But then something clicked in the lung blood demon's eyes. Even after Chinyu slapped her into the wall, she wasn't angry. She was offering her first kiss. Because the lung blood demon loved boldly and without reservation. Yes, Chinyu had knocked her out multiple times. But she was also handsome, capable, and had broken her out of a prison. And so, the heart wanted what it wanted. Chinyu knocked her out again before she could finish the confession. Then the human forces launched a full assault, and the bone demon commander ordered Chinyu to take the lung blood demon into a safe house. Chinyu agreed, and then locked the door the moment they were inside. She planned to wait there and explain herself to the humans when they arrived. Then she turned around, and found the projection of a powerful figure waiting inside the room. Her expression dropped. Unless she was very wrong, this was the Berserker demon, one of the strongest demons alive. And worse, he'd watched her lock her own teammate out. Treacherous little one. You just shut the bone demon out. At first Chinyu was on guard, but when he only talked and didn't move, she relaxed. She could see he couldn't cross the portal yet. That meant she could do whatever she wanted with the girl in the meantime. Time to negotiate. She tightened her grip around the lung blood demon. "Give me a fair price, or I might just keep this one for myself." The Berserker demon's eye twitched. He offered high-grade demon essence. Chinyu shook her head. "One's not enough. 2 minimum." She had no idea what high-grade demon essence was, but a figure like the Berserker demon offering it meant it was worth serious leverage. She pinched the lung blood demon for emphasis. The Berserker demon's nose started bleeding. "Stop, stop. We're all on the same side here." He raised to 10 portions. Maximum offer. Just as Chinyu was about to agree, she noticed the lung blood demon acting strange, clinging to her arm. Eyes filled with little pink hearts. Chinyu stared. Something was definitely wrong with this girl's brain, but she was being cooperative. Perfect for a little extra leverage. Chinyu pulled out her weapon and warned the Berserker demon. "Cash first, then delivery. No tricks." He agreed. A large mass of blue energy essence was pushed through. "Good. Now second condition. Tell me how to use this thing." The Berserker demon started to mock her ignorance, but the lung blood demon lunged forward excitedly. I know. Let me teach you." Qingyu didn't trust her one bit. Her suspicion was justified. While explaining, the lung blood demon cupped her face in both hands and leaned in. Half a second from making contact, Qingyu slapped her across the room. She embedded half into the wall. The lung blood demon wasn't even mad. Qingyu gave up, swallowed the demon essence whole, and unlocked 2 new abilities. Then, as expected, demanded 2 more from the berserker demon. This time, the response was a cold laugh. Worry about surviving long enough to use them first. Before Qingyu could figure out what that meant, her hatred energy spiked. She threw up her demon armor instinctively, but still took a critical hit. The lung blood demon screamed and threw herself in front of Qingyu. The attacker was the bone demon. Blade raised for the killing blow. And then the lung blood demon stepped between them. I don't care if you don't like me. We lung blood demons run on emotion, not logic. Then the system's chime rang in Qinyu's ears. New demon force absorbed. Fully healed, Qingyu rose. The bone demon pointed a blade of bone. Horn demon, I will end you. Qingyu covered herself completely in demon armor. Come then. They collided. The room shook. Blow after blow hammered Qingyu in the side, each impact with a sound like a cannon. Another clash. Another thunderclap. Before either could continue, footsteps thundered from outside. Human soldiers had heard the noise and were closing in. Qingyu moved immediately. She leapt backward, and a wall of gunfire swept through her previous position, crashing into the bone demon. Sparks flew off metal bones. The bone demon grabbed a broken iron panel and hurled it. It tore through the soldiers like a blade through paper. But the distraction was enough. Qingyu found her opening. One forward charge direct to the skull. The bone demon's face was too thick. Zero effect. Qingyu activated her new skill, Blood Boil. Crimson blood mist seeped from between her armor plates. Her eyes went red. A roar ripped from her throat, and pure, terrifying power erupted through her. Red-hot talons slid out from her armor along her arm. She drove them straight through the bone demon's face. Blood Boil worked by burning her own blood for a short window of explosive power. She had to finish this fast. Before the bone demon could react, Qingyu roared and launched at triple speed, targeting the skull with a full-force kick. No landing. No break. She hit him again in midair, combo after combo suspended in the air, until one final power drop kick slammed the bone demon into the floor so hard the room cracked. When he hit the ground, dust. But Blood Boil's backlash hit immediately. Qingyu crashed down with it. The human soldiers surrounded her, weapons raised, then realized it was one of their own. Hours later, in a hospital bed, Qingyu had visitors. Auntie Yuna and Yuli walked in and found a nurse currently trying to smother Qingyu with a pillow. Yuli pulled the nurse away while she was still screaming obscenities. Yuli spent a while calming the nurse down before Auntie Yuna came to the bedside. Arms crossed, neutral expression. After a minute she finally spoke. Beaten like this, and you still find time to torment the staff. Looks like you're not as hurt as I thought. The moment Qingyu heard Auntie Yuna's voice, she broke into a cold sweat. Do you know what I'm thinking about right now? I'm thinking about whether I still have enough left in me to kill you. You beat a level 6 bone demon, yes, even accounting for her prior injuries. But I also have wounds. So I ask myself, am I nurturing a future threat? Qingyu shook her head furiously but said nothing. Yuna wasn't expecting an answer. She leaned in closer and asked very quietly, tell me honestly, do you think a demon can have a conscience? Qingyu stammered. Yes, definitely. I'm basically proof of. At that exact moment, the door opened. The 5 sisters walked in. Quan Xiaoxiao recognized Auntie Yuna and greeted her nervously. Yuna smiled warmly, made small talk with Quan Xiaoxiao for a while, then excused herself, leaving the room to them. Qingyu exhaled like someone who just survived an execution. Still alive. The 5 sisters exchanged a look, then nodded. Quan Xiaoxiao came to the bedside. Qingyu watched her with a calm, flat expression. The Quan family doesn't forget debts. You risked your life for us. We'll repay you. But money feels too cheap. Qingyu cut her off. Then give me money. Xiaoxiao blinked. We don't have any. The younger sisters stepped forward quickly. We don't have money, but we've decided to give you our eldest sister. They shoved Xiaoxiao forward. Both Qingyu and Xiaoxiao froze at the same time. Xiaoxiao's face went bright red. When did we agree to this? Qingyu watched them argue noisily and decided the noise was the worst thing in the world. One day later, 3 unexpected visitors arrived in the hospital room. Word had spread. A level 2 had beaten a level 6 commander. They were academy recruiters. Qingyu sat up with the poise of a CEO. Since I'm so valuable, let's have an auction. Opening bid. 500,000. Start your offers. The 2 politely smiling representatives went completely rigid. The 3rd representative, from some other faction, immediately raised his hand. 600,000. Excellent choice. You clearly have extraordinary vision. You will look back on this day and feel proud for the rest of your life. Qingyu stepped out of bed and started pacing like an auctioneer. 600,000 from the gentleman. Any other bids? The other 2 jumped in. The price climbed. 700,000. 800,000. 900,000. By the time the bidding settled, 1,350,000. Final bid confirmed. No more takers? Qingyu slapped the table. Sold. Congratulations to the Tianlong Academy representative for acquiring this individual at 1,400,000. The representative blinked. My bid was 1,350,000. The extra 50,000 is the auctioneer's facilitation fee. You wouldn't expect me to run this for free, would you? It was shameless. But Tianlong Academy agreed anyway. 5,000 was nothing. The representative shook her hand firmly and raised it. Welcome to Tianlong Academy, Qingyu. Our faculty is exceptional. Qingyu had been happy up until this moment. Then she heard the word elite policy. She paused. Elite policy? Doesn't that mean a very small student body? The representative nodded, beaming. Correct. One-on-one instruction. We guarantee every student distinguishes themselves. A sharp slap. Qingyu dropped the representative's hand with visible disgust. One-on-one? So I'd only have access to one teacher's hatred energy? This school is trying to kill me. She turned to face the other 2. Who was second highest? Dragon Rise Academy, right? Let's talk about enrollment terms. Qingyu ultimately entered Dragon Rise Academy for 1,700,000. On the way out, she collected 200,000 from each of the 3 representatives as a confidentiality fee. After discharge, Qingyu and Yuli began recovery training at home. Then the news broke again. Demon faction incursions, fresh reports on every screen. The 2 were sitting outside eating when a military jeep pulled up. Several Beast Clan soldiers stepped out. Excuse me, is the Great Yuna at home? Before Yuli could answer, Qingyu stepped in front of her and covered her mouth. She's out. Indefinitely. When do you expect her back? Short estimate, 10 minutes. The soldiers perked up. We'll wait. Long estimate, 100 years. The soldier's face went flat. Then we won't wait. Please pass this letter to the Great Yuna. Make sure it reaches her personally. They turned and drove away. Qingyu picked up the envelope, didn't even glance at it, and dropped it to the side. Yuli reached for it immediately. A demon incursion just happened and now this letter arrives. It had to be a call to arms. But their mother's injuries weren't fully healed. She was only at tier 4. Best to pretend it never arrived. So that's what they'd do. Qingyu shredded the envelope. That night, Yuli taped the pieces back together. The letter read, when 2-dimensional surfaces overlap, they form a vortex-like subdimensional layer, inside which catastrophic distortions occur. The invaders use this method to breach the realm. The subdimension has a power ceiling. That's the only reason we've held them off so far. The northern demon front is deteriorating. We need you to locate the dimensional anchor stone. The Haching garrison stands ready. Yuli finished reading, and refused to let her mother walk into this. She strapped on her armor. I'll restore the Wild Horse Order's name myself. A ghoulish face appeared inches from hers. Yuli screamed and threw a punch. Why am I always the unlucky one? Stepmom found out her daughter was trying to enlist in her place. She tied Yuli to the bed, put on her armor, and marched toward the front. Qingyu watched from the doorway, frowning. You're really going? You could die. There are a million demon soldiers waiting out there. Her stepmother's eyes only grew colder. More certain. I have old debts to settle personally. Qingyu went still. The enemy. It had to be her father. The one who had once thrown a child into a war zone to save his own skin. Should she go find him? Play out some dramatic reunion? But she looked at Yuli, still tied to the bed, and hesitated. If she left without taking her, Yuli would absolutely follow. Morning came and Yuli had already chewed through the chains. Qingyu stared at the mangled metal. I did not know the little foal had this kind of bite force. Good thing she never got hungry enough to use it on me. She raced to the front lines. Running around yelling her sister's name, she attracted nothing but hostility. Soldiers saw her demon horns. They assumed infiltration. Before she could explain, blades were flying. She was being chased through streets, slashing at everything. At this rate, she'd be dead before she found anyone. Then something small tackled her from behind. She looked up. Quan Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao and the sisters were stationed here as volunteers. But no one had seen Yuli. She might have already gone through one of the spatial gates. Chinyu went cold. If she didn't bring Yuli home, Auntie Yuna would put her in the ground. Fourth sister came up with a plan. Let Chinyu join the supply transport unit. The money was decent anyway. She got a new disguise, a bullhead helm, and was presented to the transport captain, Butterfly Eye. The captain's first order was to move a tank. Chinyu knew it was a test of her limits. She picked it up anyway. The other transporters stared in silence. I thought this was a box-moving job. Why is someone moving tanks? How are supply runs this competitive these days? Even Butterfly Eye was floored. What are they feeding Bull Clan people? Chinyu joined the transport unit. She was confident she'd find her sister fast. What she didn't know was that Yuli had already been picked up by Wild Bee Order Vice Captain Raymond and delivered safely to the rear medical corps. Yuli was still hoping to slip away again, but Raymond had distributed Yuli's photo to every checkpoint. He wasn't letting someone's family lose a child to this war if he could help it. Meanwhile, Chinyu was hauling supplies and scanning every face she passed. Then, a mutated colossus blocked the convoy's path. The entire unit was about to be overrun. Chinyu leapt from the aircraft, activated the demon armor midfall, and tore the colossus into pieces before it hit the ground. White bone attribute power cuts through steel. Defeating the colossus also unlocked the demon enlargement skill. Chinyu's eyes lit up. Does this mean I grow 10 meters tall? Because that would be incredible. She activated it immediately, thinking she'd finally impress the sisters. Instead, they went from impressed to furious in under 2 seconds. Because the enlargement wasn't quite what she'd expected. She looked down in horror. Oh no, Stepmom arrived at exactly the wrong moment. Chinyu learned in a hurry that fear is a great teacher. She came up with a justification on the spot. You know as well as I do, nobody can outrun a horse. Stepmom already knew Yuli was safe. She'd half expected this. Something about Chinyu coming all this way moved her slightly, but her mouth had other plans. Get out of my camp immediately. The real reason. She was trying to protect her. A second later, she yanked Chinyu close and whispered, whatever they ask you to do, don't agree. Not to anything. What if I do agree? Then you die. Now go. She shoved Chinyu away by the back of the head. Too late. The C-Zone commander had already seen her. My mother said I should go home. The words had barely left her mouth before 100 gun barrels swung toward her. Chinyu immediately reversed course. Serving the people is my highest calling. Commander Lee laughed. See? Young people are so easy to work with. The mission, go undercover. The demons had located the approximate position of the space-time key. They were moving to steal it permanently, to open the portal to the demon realm forever. Chinyu's job was to infiltrate the demon side and track down the key's exact location. Lee would lead a frontal assault to keep their attention off her. He turned to her solemnly. This is a near-death mission. You have every right to refuse. I know I'm shameless for even asking, but please. Stepmom's warning played back in her head. She didn't say yes. She walked out of the tent. Stepmom had a car ready for her, already pointed home. What are our odds in this fight? Yuna didn't answer. Instead, she produced a golden horse pendant, told her to bring it back to Yuli. Aren't you coming home with me? Yuna turned away, voice flat. I have a debt on the front of this war. Vengeance waits behind. I'm not retreating. She faced the horizon. I won't step back. In the sunset light, Chinyu watched her. She'd always known her stepmom as terrifying, cold, and proud. But right now, bathed in fading gold, she looked like the glory of the Wild Horse Order itself, standing at its last line. Quan Xiaoxiao's car pulled up. Chinyu pressed the gold pendant into her hands, and walked back into the command tent. Lee stared. I didn't think you'd actually come back. Why? Who knows? Maybe the sunrise was beautiful. That's the sunset, by the way. But it didn't matter. She was in. That was enough. Lee rummaged through everything he had. This is a spatial transfer ball. It'll port you 10 kilometers in a random direction. This is an escape dagger 3 uses, instant teleport to 100 meters away. Keep them. They're for staying alive. Beyond those, there's also an underground traversal device, a defensive disc array, and an emergency signal flare. Chinyu looked at the pile in her hands and felt colder, not warmer. That many survival tools means the death rate is still above 50%? You have 1 day to confirm the position. 3 hours from now, our strike force engages in limited skirmishes. 24 hours in, if you go silent, we breach from the weakest point. Even if we have to buy it with bodies, we're finding and destroying that space-time key. Tens of thousands of lives are riding on what you do next. I'm trusting you completely. Please. Understood. But how exactly do I infiltrate the demon prisoner block? Lee cracked his knuckles. That's the easy part. His fist connected with Chinyu's head a half-second later. The tent filled with her screaming. She was fairly certain that one had some personal grievance mixed in. The iron gate opened. She was thrown into the cage. I can't believe you ambushed me. You literally walked into it. I just asked a question. From inside the cage, a phantom demon grinned at her. Bro, that's legendary. How did you manage to provoke the commander? Chinyu explained it was all deliberate. Getting thrown into this cage was the only way to get close enough to escape into their side. So do you have a key? Of course not. She spread her hands, and then a commotion broke out in the distance, pulling every guard away. Chinyu smiled. No key, but she had both hands. She grabbed the bars and bent them apart. The demons in the cage stared. That's reinforced divine-grade alloy, rated to withstand a full-force hit from a Tier 4 demon. Chinyu walked out through the gap. The rest of the demons scrambled out after her, expecting a fight on the outside. Instead, there was no one. Total silence. The phantom demon's face went pale. Did the Beast Clan already find the space-time key? Chinyu put on her best expression of shock and urged everyone to head to the nearest demon base to report in. At the base, the news was quickly passed up to the local commander, Sorcerer Demon Karen. Karen had already received a tip that Chinyu was a traitor, but she wanted to see her in person. When they stood face to face, Karen's cold gaze swept her. Your name? Call me Big Baby. What kind of name is that? She rose slowly, eyes narrowing. What's your ability? Localized enlargement. How large? Chinyu called out a size, then reconsidered. Upgraded it. Karen was visibly struggling. I asked about you, not me. Oh, that was also about me. I'm 18. What were you thinking? One kick. Chinyu sailed out through the tent wall. Turns out that was the fallen knight, whose name apparently was Flying Fish. He noticed something was off about the kick's impact. He stepped out to look, and found Chinyu's arm had expanded to tree size. The next second he drew a blade. Chinyu met it bare-armed. The sight of it actually relaxed Karen. She didn't use demon armor, so it couldn't be Chinyu. Karen wrapped her tail around the fighter to restrain her. Enough. Big Baby, you passed. Apparently, ever since Chinyu had taken down the bone demon, Karen had tested every new recruit personally. What none of them knew was that Chinyu had just unlocked Demon Enlargement Mirror. Karen was impressed. She asked if Chinyu had interest in joining her unit. Chinyu stared at her with unsettling intensity and said yes. Very much yes. Karen went red but needed fighters. She assigned Chinyu to guard the space-time key. Keep all humans away. Then she produced the key's exact coordinates. Chinyu accepted with a straight face while internally celebrating her luck. She tried to send a message immediately, no signal. Karen had installed signal blockers across the entire perimeter. Chinyu walked back in to ask why her phone had no bars, and realized she'd just pulled out a human model phone in front of a demon commander. Karen froze, then pounced. You're a spy, and you're doing this right in front of me. He snatched the phone. Are you actually suicidal? Chinyu remained perfectly calm. Using a human phone makes me a spy? What kind of spy would be dumb enough to do that openly? She smiled pleasantly. Besides, don't you use human products too? Then she reached behind Karen and produced a small device. A click, and a massage chair materialized behind the commander. Chinyu raised a remote control and cranked it straight to maximum vibration. Karen was immediately restrained by the massage arms. Apparently someone had ordered a custom stress relief tool for the front lines. Chinyu switched to the deepest program. Karen's scream was not pain. It was something considerably more embarrassing. Even Chinyu nearly had trouble stopping herself from joining in. Do you understand the situation now? Karen sputtered. A massage chair cannot communicate with the outside world. Don't confuse the logic. Chinyu nodded thoughtfully and began explaining what a real spy's tools actually looked like. Key feature: secrecy and concealment. For instance, this watch. Press the button, and it detonates the target. A nearby soldier turned to ash. Chinyu performed a shocked gasp. Purely accidental. Then she produced a pen. This pen fires a concentrated electrical charge. The soldier who had been trying to put out the fire from the watch explosion got electrocuted directly. Chinyu continued reasoning with total sincerity that using a human phone was completely innocent, while Karen was quietly on fire. Do you think I'm an idiot? Two spears came at her. Chinyu leapt back off the wall and produced a confusion grenade. It induced 30 seconds of memory scramble with the option to implant new memories. Karen went blank. Chinyu immediately spat 3 times and declared loudly, I am Big Baby, the real deal, a genuine demon. You are not allowed to suspect me. Karen nodded compliantly and let her do whatever she wanted. The soldiers watching were stunned. She controlled the commander. We're following her now. When Karen came back to her senses, every one of her troops was gone. She assumed it was a human raid. Then the fire demon crawled up. Commander, that Big Baby took all the soldiers. She even conscripted the chickens and pigs from the kitchen. Why didn't you warn me sooner? I tried, but she knocked me unconscious at the door. Karen felt her heart giving out. Without soldiers, there was no defensive line. Somewhere far away, Chinyu sneezed. Whoever's thinking about me must be really going for it. When Chinyu showed up at the human command tent with Karen's entire demon unit, and no Karen, the commander did a double take. Chinyu announced calmly that she was Karen. The troops behind her shifted uncomfortably. Chinyu puffed out her chest. I am a genuine sorcerer demon, born for battle. Sensing the soldiers weren't convinced, she made an example of someone in the back row. The tent erupted in applause. The commander interjected. All sorcerer demons are female. Chinyu struck a coy pose. I'm just naturally masculine presenting. The commander raised his weapon in disgust. Chinyu changed course immediately. Actually, I'm her husband. Halfway through the sentence, she blanked on Karen's title. A soldier helpfully supplied. Fallen Knight. Yes, I'm the Fallen Knight's husband. Fallen Angel. The commander. The Fallen Knight doesn't have a demon spouse in this camp. Chinyu skipped the argument and knocked the commander out. Problem solved. Stay here, hold the position. She walked into the command room and found it full of level 7+ demons, including a familiar face. She walked straight up to him and swung. He caught it. That all? Chinyu pulled out chili powder. He was howling and clawing at his eyes. Chinyu added ground pepper, then an entire jar of mixed spice. He was down, unconscious. The assembled demons decided to make Chinyu their designated interceptor against the Beast Clan reinforcements. She thought, intercept? That's just being a meat shield. When the Beast Clan arrived, Chinyu waved them through, then turned around and blocked the pursuing demon unit. This mountain is mine. This pass is mine. If you want through me, I'd suggest reconsidering. A demon from the pursuing group announced himself. Chinyu punched him skyward. Today, while Big Baby stands here, nobody passes. Are you insane? I'm a demon. He didn't finish before the rain of fists resumed. A call came through her earpiece. Who is this? Can't you see I'm in a fight? She tossed the receiver to the demon on the ground. He answered. Telemarketer. Another round of beatings. Who doesn't silence their phone in a fight? Have some professional standards. The demon looked genuinely miserable. A second call came in. Chinyu grabbed the phone. Wait. This one might actually be for me. She listened. Demon command. Multiple human units had breached the line. Proceed with the elite unit and reinforce the position immediately. Chinyu looked at the half-dead demons sprawled around her. These were the elite unit. She glanced at the other fighters nearby. We're all on the same side. Let's move together. 15 minutes later, the horned demon leader came to. Chinyu leaned over him immediately. Oh good, you're awake. Congratulations, the surgery was successful. Starting today, you're a woman. What did you do to me? Summary of events so far. A man had infiltrated the demon commander, led away her entire unit, impersonated her husband, and turned the entire demon faction inside out. Chinyu was having a great time, and now she realized she was technically the son of Blood Blade Horn Demon, which made her and this commander blood brothers by name. She wasn't ready to admit that, because she was a spy. More importantly, she had assumed her father was the final boss, the one her stepmom burned with vengeance. Turned out he was just a mid-level faction leader. Now standing at the entrance to the space-time key chamber, a new thought crawled in. What if they found out she was human? She imagined what being torn apart would look like. She shoved every human weapon and device into the horned demon's hands. These are all yours. Take them. Prosper. Remember your brothers when you make it big. She thought that covered her. Then a messenger arrived. Greetings, Lord Flying Fish. Your wife is requesting your presence. Chinyu's soul nearly left her body. I don't have a wife. She approached the tent with careful politeness and called out, My darling, honey, I'm here. She opened the flap. Karen. The next second, Karen exploded out of the tent screaming. Stand still so I can kill you. A bystander demon got decked by a backswing before he could say a word. The punch launched Chinyu 30 meters into a wall. Karen charged to finish the job. Chinyu caught her foot mid-charge with one hand. The two locked into a tug-of-war. Then the war horn sounded. All units advanced to the spacetime key. The dimensional distortion was already warping the interior into a spacetime labyrinth. Teams were being sent in on small squads. Before entry, the horned demon proudly produced the defensive talisman Chinyu had given him earlier. Everyone looked at it. Clearly human-made. I took this from a human soldier. War spoils. He pressed the button in front of everyone. A human teleportation gate opened. Human soldiers poured through. The demons went from confused to furious in an instant. The traitor is you. The horned demon had no idea what was happening. He begged Chinyu to explain. I honestly don't know how this happened either. But I believe in you, boss. You've got your reasons. You're not the kind of man who takes bribes or goes corrupt. Even with your regeneration ability, there's no way you're a spy. The horn demon broke into a cold sweat. Don't listen to him. I swear I'm the son of Lord Carlos. Nobody believed him. Lord Carlos has 10,000 children. Who do you think you are? Chinyu did the math. 10,000 children? Her cheap father was basically breeding stock. That particular revenge was going to need more planning. She ducked into the space-time key chamber alone with a compass. At least she wouldn't get lost. Except she immediately walked into a blue giant pig. It reached toward her. She screamed and stabbed it 200 times. She absorbed its fat accumulation ability. Fine. Following the compass, she moved deeper and landed directly in the middle of an active human-demon firefight. Every bullet hit her. Nothing happened. Both sides stared. Is she human? Asked the humans. Is she demon? Asked the demons. Chinyu seethed. That stupid pig made me mess up the compass. She spun the needle and ended up in a fire battlefield. Then deep ocean. Then directly in front of the full demon army. She spun again. In front of the demon army. What the? You better be a compass and not a death sentence. She braced for combat, but the demons just ran straight past her and charged the humans behind her. She forgot she was still wearing demon horns. On the other side of the battlefield, the 5 sisters jumped in. To support Chinyu faster, they executed their merge technique. 5 bodies collided, and in their place stood one unified Quan Hound warrior. A demon fist came down. The merged form became solid stone, then extended 5 gun barrels from inside and turned the attacker into a sieve. Hold on, Chinyu. Elsewhere, the horned demon had been dragged before Chinyu's father, Carlos. Before he could speak, Carlos stepped on his head. He didn't care who was the traitor. The problem was simpler. The son was useless. No ambition. No cunning. 0 value. Father, give me another chance. I have talent. 1 slash. His head was off. You did have talent. But to me, you were only useful as food. Then Carlos sensed something that interested him far more. Reports of his other child. Self-healing. Demon armor. He needed to meet this one. Across the dimensional battlefield, the decapitation demon was carving through everything in sight. Then Yuna arrived, long glaive in hand. The decapitation demon king appeared before her. He knew she wasn't ordinary, but he planned to wear her down. Yuna's voice was ice. The last one who thought that. His head is still hanging on my wall. She and the demon king clashed instantly. His single sword form wasn't working. He split into 4 mirror images and launched a coordinated strike, hiding the real attack behind the clones. He circled to her blind spot and raised the blade. Her combat instincts caught it. She blocked the hit, but both drew blood. He tried to escape. Yuna pursued immediately, then her legs folded. The blade had been coated with poison. She trembled, but still laughed at him. Since when do decapitation demons use methods this filthy? You're a disgrace to your name. The demon king snapped and swung for the kill. That's when Yuna cried out, Chinyu! He split into clones in reflex. Then Yuna drove her spear through his chest. How? You didn't fall from the poison. Yuna's bloodline had twice the poison resistance of a normal person. Others would last 5 minutes, her kind lasted 10. He had been fooled by his own assumption, and she had baited him in deliberately with the feigned collapse. But the spear was coated with 6-armed serpent demon venom. The demon king laughed coldly. Woman, you know what makes a demon truly terrifying? Not raw strength, the unpredictability. He had absorbed the 6-armed serpent demon earlier. Built-in immunity. Luck is on my side. He stepped forward for the kill. Raised the spear. Chinyu. Yuna called out again. He snarled. You think that works twice? Then Chinyu appeared directly in front of him. Real this time. He swung at her in blind fury. His fists connected with nothing. In the next breath, he was swatted across the field like a fly. He couldn't accept this. I'm at the height of my power. I should be untouchable. What he didn't understand was that Chinyu's demon armor had ascended to a new tier. 1 punch was enough to concuss him internally. He couldn't explain the speed or the force. In desperation, he turned back toward Yuna. Chinyu felt it coming. No! But demon armor had just expired. Chinyu stepped between them and took the blade in the back. In that moment, Yuna finally understood. This demon had a conscience. She pulled out a hidden blade and sliced the enemy's ankle. Together, they finished the decapitation demon. When Chinyu absorbed the demon essence, she turned to Yuna and reached down. Get up, Your Majesty, the scary one, my beloved stepmother. Yuna's anger was immediate, because her greatest enemy had just arrived. Carlos applauded. Impressive. 1 in 10,000. Welcome home. Yuna lunged. Chinyu tackled her into unconsciousness first. She couldn't let her fight Carlos. There was no scenario where she walked away from that. Note. Timestamp corrected from overlap. Chinyu stepped forward and addressed him. Cheap father, you dropped me in the human realm. A place where I had every reason to die. Give me a reasonable explanation. Carlos's answer was entirely simple. Too much trouble. A beat of silence. Then Chinyu let out a sharp laugh. Carlos joined in, same frequency. The next second, Chinyu ripped off her own arm. It regrew almost instantly, stronger. No hesitation this time, because her father was genuinely monstrous. Carlos sounded almost mournful. I wanted to cultivate you first, then absorb you. Looks like today is the day. First exchange, Chinyu launched across the gap. He sent her flying before she landed. He closed in fast. No matter how gifted, before you've grown into full power, you're just prey. Another hit. Another launch. But then Carlos's weapon began to fracture. Because Chinyu had already completed her ascension to high-tier demon armor, and the passive corrosion was eating through his steel. In the human realm, how did you advance this fast? He had no idea how Chinyu had climbed. She had one choice left, blood boil. The moment it activated, sonic booms split the air around her. She aimed for his throat with a horizontal slash. She underestimated his physical density. The blade deflected. She was sent flying again. Carlos straightened up. This child was genuinely making him take it seriously. Speed, power, regeneration, Chinyu was outclassed in everyone. The 10,000-year-old demon. Who knew how many creatures he'd absorbed? Then inspiration hit her. She focused, summoned bone claws, and charged. Carlos dropped his weapon and grew matching claws. You copied me? That's a Sharingan thing? Father and child met again, no mercy, no sentiment. Carlos activated six-armed divine power. 6 arms hammered Chinyu from every angle, 0 openings. She was helpless. Then, a spear through the throat from behind. Yuna was awake. Chinyu flickered behind him and pulled the embedded weapon free. So ended the first and last meeting with her father. Yuna could no longer hold back the weight of everything she'd been carrying. She wept openly. Wild horse order. I finally avenged you. Then Chinyu noticed something wrong. No death flash. No soul dispersion. Carlos was already standing, reattaching his own head. Chinyu snapped into ready stance. He collapsed, then scrambled to his feet and ran. He was heading for the dimensional seal to restore his true power. Too far to chase on foot. Chinyu activated the spatial movement ability she'd just absorbed. She appeared directly in his path and ran him through. He was wounded. She pressed the advantage, one more strike. Come on, give me everything. I'm taking it. Minutes later, Carlos was an unrecognizable heap on the ground. Chinyu collapsed beside him, exhausted completely. Then, command channel. Space-time key located. Detonating in 5 minutes. All personnel evacuate immediately. After they left, the flesh on the ground began to move. The shape reassembled itself. This was split regeneration, an ultra-rare resurrection ability. The real trump card Carlos had always kept hidden, but Chinyu had drained him of most of his gold essence. He was now back down to level 1. A standard low-rank demon could crush him. He lay there on the ground, weeping with humiliation. I am a level 7 demon overlord. A supreme commander. When did I deserve this? A green demon wandered by and stabbed him through the chest, then proceeded to drain his remaining energy. A level 1 weakling putting on airs? Seriously. Back in the world above, Chinyu woke up to discover her new abilities were a chaotic mess of random demon powers she didn't ask for. Then the door opened. Yuna walked in and pulled her into a tight embrace without a word. Warm tears landed on Chinyu's cheek. I'm sorry. I misjudged you for so long. The ice between them finally broke. At departure, Yuna made an announcement. Your combat reward has been released. As your guardian, I'm holding it for safekeeping until you're older. I'm already grown. Look, Chinyu demonstrated. Yuna's response was very thorough. 1 month later, Chinyu set off for Dragon Rise Academy. Face thoroughly decorated with bruises. You said you were sorry, and now this? You wild animal. Yuna called it combat conditioning. Chinyu had sensed killing intent coming her way, and thought the demons had found her. She turned around. Tang Lian, also heading to Dragon Rise Academy. What a coincidence, Chinyu said. Not a coincidence, Tang Lian replied. I chose this school because I found out you'd be here. Chinyu noticed the killing intent, but the system wasn't registering hostility. Then Tang Lian said it plainly. I like you. Chinyu stood perfectly still. The Tang Lian clan, known for consuming their mates after reproduction. She hadn't even finished the thought before Tang Lian had already climbed on top of her. Chinyu panicked and punched a hole clean through the high-speed rail car, then ran for her life. The further she ran, the more Tang Lian's fondness grew. Some things truly could not be explained.